Welcome back to On Texas Football, of course, the weekly edition of the recruiting breakdown. Texas heads up to Michigan this weekend, but we're focused on what's ahead down the road with this recruiting class for 2025. Of course, some 2026 notes in there as well. I'm CJ Vogel, joined, as always, by the recruiting guru, the man himself, Gerry Hamilton. Gerry, you're on the road, and we'll get to that here in a second. But first, I think we need to perhaps ease some minds of Texas fans with what's going on with Elijah Barnes. Of course, you've been locked in on that recruitment. You have some updates there. And following some noise from Oregon and Eugene, you know, that foe that Texas has been battling in the 25 class all cycle long, basically. What's the latest on Elijah Barnes?
Yeah, I spoke with somebody very close to that recruitment the last 2 days, actually. But the call yesterday evening was the big one, that Elijah Barnes is 100% locked into Texas. He made the unofficial visit to Oregon over the weekend, kind of unexpected. Texas did not know about it beforehand. But I think that Texas had multiple conversations with Barnes and his circle on Tuesday, or on Monday, I should say. Today is Tuesday. On Monday, and that everything is good with Elijah Barnes in Texas. So I expect him to be at probably the UTSA game, if not the ULM Monroe game. As of today, I'm not expecting any more visits. If that changes, obviously, then that means there's going to be a longer winding road in this recruitment. And as we reported Sunday, if he had followed up the Oregon unofficial by setting an official visit date, that's when Texas was going to have issues. But right now, that's not happening. Sounds like Elijah Barnes and his circle are 100% with the Longhorns and will be in Austin. Obviously not this weekend, but probably the weekend after when UTSA visits Texas.
Yeah, very much a positive note there. Of course, dating back to when he first committed in the spring, Gerry. I mean, I don't know if there had been a recruit on campus more than Elijah Barnes. So,
and more all in publicly.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Lance Jackson, Caleb Chester, a couple guys that we saw in the 25 class at the game on Saturday. Barnes, probably one of the more notable absentees there. But to your point, that's a great update on Elijah Barnes, Gerry.
And let me add, I forgot to add one thing. Elijah Barnes, I was told last night, he said, put it in quotes, Elijah Barnes wants to play football at Texas.
There you go. You got to like that if you're a Texas fans, of course. Holding on to Elijah Barnes is going to be one of the more important pieces of this 25 class. Gerry, great update on him. Of course, Texas fans, I hope that eases some of the concerns or questions you might have in that recruitment. Real quick, before we get to where you're at, Gerry, because I know you're on the road. You're doing a great job going out through Alabama, Georgia, and all over the place in the Deep South. A quick word about our sponsor, Mark Saunders and Allstate.
Yeah, when it comes to protecting all your stuff, wouldn't it be great to have one place that protects all of it? All of it. Here's some great news. Texas Allstate agent Mark Saunders is that guy. He's the only person you need, the only insurance agent you need to help keep tabs on protection for all your stuff. Everything from your home, your car, and your boat to your motorcycle, RV, and even that ATV. Do it all. So many On Texas Football family members have done in the last year. Call Texas Allstate agent Mark Saunders' office today, 512-218-8571. Are you in good hands? You'll be in great hands with Mark Saunders and his over 35 years of experience. Again, give him a call today, 512-218-8571.
Cool. Thank you very much, Gerry. And thank you again, Mark Saunders, for being the sole sponsor of the recruiting breakdown this week. All right, Gerry. You're on the road. You're checking up the miles. The odometer's going up and up and up and up as this season continues. I know you're up at Saraland. We'll actually have a little bit of KJ Lacey a little bit later in this video. Nice little 10-minute interview that you had with him. But tell us where you've been and where you're planning on seeing, the rest of the week. Yeah,
so left the Houston area Sunday afternoon, drove to Mobile because, you drive these trips. You don't fly, then get to fly. You got to drive them. This is where you get more stops in a trip like this. But so again, yesterday, 8 a.m. practice at Saraland, and that was Central Time. They got on the field, but really got going about 9. And so after coffee and football, but spoke with KJ Lacey. He walked in Texas gear before the Monday practice, watched KJ Lacey throw it around in their prep. They're starting game prep. They're playing at Gulf Shores, but by CJ, not a bad place to go play on a Friday night, right? Gulf Shores.
Perhaps not.
I mean, after the game, I just stay there and go to Floribama Saturday and watch SEC football, honestly. But Gulf Shores, a good little road trip, an hour and a half south. But KJ Lacey, look, the one thing I've said about him, and we're going to have a great little 10-minute interview with him. He's intelligent, talks about a lot of things with us, kind of talks about his basketball background. His dad was a really good basketball player. He'll be at Texas for the Georgia game. is what he said. But he's a playmaker at the quarterback position. There's nothing robotic about KJ Lacey. And this year, because he's playing with a much younger team around him on the offensive line, he's being forced to play under duress more early in the season, and that's showing his playmaking skills against a really good Jackson High team in Alabama. And then last week, Blunt wasn't a very good team, but he is showing the playmaking skills. I think the moxie, the athletic instincts, the playmaking skills that Steve Sarkisian and A.J. Milwee have always really liked about KJ Lacey, I think are going to be on full display this season, because a lot of people are like, oh, Ryan Williams is gone. He's not going to have his go-to guy. We still have Dylan Alford going to Ole Miss. They still have capable players, good running back, but that offensive line is young. And he talks about that in the interview. And he's also taken on the leadership role. And I always will go back to this, CJ. The senior year for a quarterback, it is the most important year from a leadership standpoint, because you're not just looked at as to be the quarterback. You're looked at to be the leader of the team, the leader of the program, the leader in the Saraland community, which won state 2 years ago and lost in the state title game last year. That's a big leadership role for a young kid, and that helps him in his process. And we've talked about that's what Quinn Ewers missed, giving away his senior season to go to Ohio State. So KJ Lacey's taken on that big leadership role, but his playmaking skills are going to be on fire this year. They already are. He's going to show what he can do with his feet. Then other stops, CJ, I'm in Duluth, Georgia. Now in Atlanta area next couple of days. I'm going to be at Grayson High this afternoon, later this afternoon for practice. That's Nick Brooks, all 6'7" and 370 of them. CJ still has the famous video of him walking through Bergstrom Airport. And then the defensive line target, Joseph Mbaktu, a current Florida commitment, and who wouldn't want to go gator chopping right now if you're recruiting against Florida? But Joseph Mbaktu, 6'5", 280, first year playing college football, playing high school football, padded football. And since Texas offered him, Auburn, Alabama, Georgia have all offered this guy. So he's a rotational player for Grayson because it's his first year playing, but he is not being looked at like that long-term from recruiting perspective. Then we'll be in Atlanta bumping around, going to make our way to South Georgia and end up Jamie French's game Friday night against against a team that's been good in the past, Sandalwood High in Jacksonville.
Well, there you go, Jerry. Again, racking up the miles. You won't find it anywhere else but here on Texas Football. Sticking with your road trip, I know that defensive line has been a bit of a roller coaster. Texas, it feels like, has had some momentum kind of swing back to their side, perhaps. And, of course, it definitely helps that some of these targets, one committed to Florida, a couple others committed to Florida State. Doesn't look like that game will even reach national television whenever it's played later this year with the way that things are looking right now. But where does things stand with a Myron Charles or a Kevin Wynn? Is it still just a wait and see, hope to get them back on campus before getting your hopes up? Or is this, lack of production, if you will, for that Florida State defensive line and kind of expectations on the field, is that helping Texas in a way that you would expect it to be?
I think it's helping Texas because kids have questions, right? And Myron Charles almost visited Texas late last weekend in July with Josiah Sharma when Sharma flipped. Obviously, FSU kept him from making that visit, did a good job recruiting him. But the FSU is so interesting because it's different than Florida last year with Wardell Mack and Phil Samee. The difference is Mike Norvell's coming off a tremendous season in Tallahassee, got a huge contract extension. I mean, his job's not in jeopardy, right? That's not what's going on here. They're having some struggles. So obviously they didn't make a good pick at quarterback in the portal. We're just talking about KJ Lacey's playmaking skills. So if FSU lacks playmaking at quarterback, then all your other deficiencies are exposed. So what I'm saying is Odell Haggins has been the defensive line coach at FSU for years. His NFL resume is tremendous. It's not like FSU just had a D-line coaching change and now the D-line's going the wrong direction and kids are going to start bailing. That's not what we're talking about here. What we are talking about, though, is Texas. If Texas wins Saturday, if they keep this momentum going, then, man, FSU's got a battle on their hands with Myron Charles. That's what we do know. Kevin Wynn may be a little different because that was a closer-to-home decision. He has had these guys have long-term relationships with Odell Haggins. So here's the other thing with FSU. I think Texas fans just think both those guys will just flip the Texas. But what if one of those guys says, you know what? I can go start as a freshman if I handle my business there. See, kids look at this stuff different ways sometimes.
Yep.
And so I think both of those things come into play. Somebody might say, you know what, this is a better option for me here. I feel like that program's headed in a better direction. Then another kid could say, I think I can start there. I can play early there and play for a really good football coach on the defensive line who has a great long standing resume. So it'll be interesting. Then there's Javion Hilson, the edge from Cocoa, who visited Texas. Now, Texas has two tremendous edge prospects committed. Would you turn down a kid from Florida, from the state of Florida, who's a really good player? Probably not. But Texas does have two really good edges committed. Then in Bakhtu, we talked about some other guys on the D-line recruiting that I think are interesting. Caleb Bell at Milton High in Georgia, committed to Arkansas. Really good player. Then there's Braxton Kyle, nose tackle at North Gwinnett, committed to Rutgers, who Georgia recently offered. Telling you, state of Georgia's loaded on the D-line like few states can be in one class. Then there's a Walter Mathis Jr. We broke the news on Texas football that Texas is talking to him. He's out of Calvary Day in Savannah. He visited LSU, Miami, Clemson, and Tennessee, I believe it was, in June. I mean, he's one of the top D linemen in the country. He's way underrated nationally. So Texas is casting a wider net, and I like who's in the net for Texas. Now, that doesn't include in-state. Jackson Blackwell was at the Texas-Colorado State game. We'll see what Texas does with him on senior eval. Chase Sims, Texas is still talking to Chase Sims from Richmond Manual, committed to A&M. Obviously, Brandon Brown at O'Galley. People all ask about him in Florida, the LSU commitment. Is him in Texas still talking? I know they have since he committed. Where that goes, I don't know about him and Zion. Those guys have really good relationship with Bo Davis. Now, Texas fans are like, LSU lost, blah, blah, but we'll see on that. A lot of season left to play out. I do know this. If Texas handles their business, if they go and win at Michigan Saturday, they're going to become a real thorn late in recruiting in this class for teams that aren't getting it done on the field like they were expected to.
And that's, again, been kind of a common theme with Texas in recent recruiting classes, is coming in late to flip or to win big-time recruitments late. Jared, I thought you made a really astute, positive conversation, remark there. Hey, Texas casting a wider net. Maybe you would have liked to have seen this earlier in the cycle, but nonetheless, Texas has expanded their defensive line search in the 2025 class. A positive note there, and certainly helps whenever Kenny Baker has some ties to that Georgia area, that deep South area as well. So great notes there all the way around, Jerry. Of course, all of your updates will be on ontexasfootball.com, on Texas Football, the YouTube channel, of course. So if you're not a part of the community yet, come join us real quick. All right, before moving forward to the KJ Lacey interview, Jerry, let's rewind just a little bit to this past weekend against Colorado State. Texas had a few 2026 prospects on campus. The first that we got to talk about is Luke Waffley out of the Hun School in New Jersey. Of course, a familiar name, received his offer from Texas in the spring, was on campus for the pool bash. Again, to return this early in the season for Texas. Positive note right there. I was able to chat with him just a little bit. First off, his conversation that we had after the pool bash, there's a lot of intrigue in Texas for him. He grew up with Texas gear in his house, grew up, a bit of a fan of the Longhorns from that New Jersey era up in the Northeast, but it is Kyle Flood who was that regional recruiter that found him, that offered him, that got him in contact with the rest of the defensive staff. And of course, he came down for the pool bash on his own dime, returned immediately on his own dime to come see Texas play. Here's his quote that he gave to On Texas Football about the environment at Texas against Colorado State. The game atmosphere exceeded my expectations, and then the football team in general just had a fire about them. It looks like they're about to have a really good season. Of course, going back to what we know about Luke Waffley coming down 2 straight, months in a row, basically, to see Texas. Texas in a good spot there. Another name to know in that 26 class who was on campus, Deuce Thompson. DeCorian Thompson out of Pleasant Grove, defensive back, again, has an offer from Kansas State, really talented football player. You'll start to see that recruitment grow and grow and grow as the season continues. But all right, Jerry.
On Waffley, CJ, let's mention this. He goes to the Hun School, and I'm familiar with this. My sister lives in Princeton. And let me just say this about the Hun School. If he goes to Texas, the academics will be a breeze after going through the Hun School. That's not messing around with private schools in the Northeast, okay? The Hun School those kids go to Ivy League schools.
That's a great point. Well, in this case, this Hun School student is pretty good at tackling the quarterback. So Texas is interested there as well. Obviously, education will help. Jerry, before we get to your interview with KJ Lacey, of course, about 10 minutes here, so stick around. A quick word about our sponsor, Mark Saunders and Allstate.
Yeah, Mark Saunders. Wouldn't it be great when it comes to protecting all your stuff? Wouldn't it be great to have one place that protects all of it? Here's some good news. Texas Allstate agent Mark Saunders is the only insurance agent you'll need to help keep tabs on protection for all your stuff. Everything from your home, car, and boat to your motorcycle, RV, and even that ATV. Call Texas Allstate agent Mark Saunders' office today, 512-218-8571. A lot of On Texas Football family members have done that very thing in the last year. Are you in good hands? Well, let me say this. You'll be in great hands with the over 35 years of experience Texas alum Mark Saunders brings to the table. Give him a call today, 512-218-8571.
Perfect. Thank you, Jerry. And thank you again, Mark Saunders. All right, On Texas Football fans, sit back, relax. Here's Jerry and KJ Lacey. Thank you again, and we'll see you next weekend for the recruiting breakdown. Welcome.
All right, Gerry Hamilton of On Texas Football here at Saraland High, talking with four-star quarterback commit KJ Lacey. KJ, a couple of games in the books.
Yes, sir.
Making some plays with your feet this year for this Saraland team.
Right.
Talk to me about the first couple of games. Big win over Jackson, then last week, I think who was it, Blunt?
Right, Blunt, yes, sir. I feel like the Jackson game was a really big, game that everyone was expecting to be like that. I think it was over 7,000 people here. The stadium was completely packed. Came out, we showed up, and our defense played really good. I feel like our offense came out, did really good. Offensive line kind of showed who they were. You know, it's a young line, and they came out, they competed. We did really good offensively. Like you said, made a lot of big plays, scrambling, off-platform plays, and hit a couple receivers from touchdowns, and yeah, all around good game. The Blunt game, I feel like we did pretty good. Came out, executed early. I think I had one drive in the second half, and then it was over after that. We were 56-0 at halftime, so yeah, pretty good game all the way around.
Texas got a big wide receiver commitment on Friday, Jamie French. I know you talked to Jamie, probably Kalik as well.
Right.
That's two big-time receivers coming in this class with you. What kind of your thoughts on Jamie? And you know him a little bit as a person as well.
Right. With the Jamie, after the official visits, I was just like, oh yeah, we gotta get him. And ever since then, our relationship kind of kept on building. I think I don't really remember my profile picture is right now, but I know it's been that picture of me and him since from the official visit for a while. And a couple of days before he committed, he texted me. He's like, "Gonna make that profile picture real in a couple of days." But Kalik, really good receiver. I'm pretty close to Kalik too. Talked to him. Official visit with both of them was really great. So
when you watch them on tape, what do you see? What do you see their strengths as a wideout from a quarterback perspective?
Right. I feel like Jamie, just all around receiver. I feel like he can play anywhere on the field. Hands really good, and just all around really good playmaker. And Kalik, he just makes some really big plays out there on the outside, really deep threat, real fast, and really, really athletic. So
one of the things I've said is both those guys they turn 50-50 balls in the 75-25.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Okay, so going to the SEC now, taller, longer corners in the SEC versus the Big 12.
Right.
From a quarterback perspective, how much does that help you to have a guy where you can just throw it to a spot or an area code if you're under duress and you know that guy's going to go up and make the play?
Yes, sir. Like you said, the corners and everybody in the SEC is always bigger, stronger, faster. All those guys are huge out there, especially the linebackers, D linemen, and the corners, like you said, are really, really long. So having those receivers like Kalik, Jamie, all the receivers coming in, and, all the speed over at Texas right now. You got Jonte, Isaiah Bond right now. So I feel like once you get into the season and just see how it goes, you'll see what the receivers are made of compared to those DBs at the Georgia game, for example. They have really good DBs all the way around the field. So also a really good D line, and all the way around just really big guys out there. So I feel like having those receivers would really help, really a lot. Just put it out there, let them go make plays on it.
You watched Texas Saturday, you told me. What were your takeaways from the Texas game against Colorado State?
I feel like it was a little bit of a slow start at the beginning, but once that Texas offense gets going, you can't stop it. So Quinn played a really good game. Arch came in, he did his thing, he did really good, and I feel like the receivers came out and showed who they were.
Yep. What thoughts on Michigan, man? I'm sure you watched Michigan last year, different team, but that's going to be a physical game. How much are you looking forward to watching that one?
It's going to be a really good game. I feel like Michigan, I feel like they kind of fell off on, just their explosiveness in the offense, and they had J.J. McCarthy, their long-time starter, and they had Blake Kroom, the running back. They're just really good all the way around, but I'm not too sure. I didn't watch the Michigan game.
Yeah.
I kind of turned it on for a little bit, and I turned it off, but Yeah, I feel like it should be a really good game.
Obviously, teammate and good friend Ryan Williams. Did you get to watch some of his first game?
Yes, sir. I watched that.
What did it? I'm sure that didn't surprise you, right?
For sure. Yes, sir. You know he's gonna do what he does. He's one of the fastest players in college right now. He's just been posting 17 years old and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, first catch, 84-yard touchdown.
How excited does that make you? Obviously, you're going to be on a different timeline. Quarterbacks
Yes,
maybe,
sir.
but how much does that excite you to play at college football on that level one day?
Right. You know, just seeing with all my teammates and players that I've known just from this last year's class anyway, just going into college and already making a really big statement of like who they are out there, getting their name out there and making all those big plays. I feel like I'm just ready to get out there.
What obviously you work with David Morse, have since I believe 3rd grade.
Yes, sir.
What did y'all work on specifically this summer to get you ready for senior year?
Really just footwork and getting ready to, making that release quicker and then just seeing the defense earlier. Because, just younger team this year, less experience. We had 28 seniors graduate this year, so just all around just getting out there and, we have to come out and we're a whole new team, so we have to figure out who we are. It's our identity as a team. And I feel like my job on the team is being that leader and getting everybody through the season and going out there and winning the state championship this year.
Where do you feel like you're better this year?
I feel like just knowing when I need to run and, just making quicker decisions out there. Also throwing the ball away when I need to. I feel like it was a couple plays last year where I kind of tried to extend the play too much when it was already dead. And, when stuff like that happens, it's either going to be really good or really bad. So, yeah, just, throwing the ball away when I need to and just making smart decisions out there.
How often do you talk to Coach Milwee and Sark?
I talk to Coach Milwee a lot of times a week,
yeah,
every week. But I talk to Coach Sark here and there. We kind of just get on the phone, chop it up, talk about, just the whole thing about the team and how the quarterbacks are doing and, what he got on the team about it, practice and all that stuff. So I feel like really good relationships there.
Anybody you're working on from a recruiting perspective?
I'm just, looking around now at this point. The main receivers I was trying to get, we got. We just got Jonah the other day. I feel like we're on a roll right now. But, some other prospects, recruits out there we're trying to get. And, Terry.
Yeah, Michael Terry, big-time athlete. When's the next time you'll be on campus in Austin?
I'll be there for the Georgia game.
Georgia game,
yes,
okay. You told me somebody else from the state of Alabama is going to make that game, maybe?
EJ.
EJ, yes, tell people who that is. Tell Texas fans who that is.
We just played against him first game of the season at Jackson. He's the #1 running back in the nation, #6 player in the country, I'm pretty sure.
In the 26 class?
The 27 class.
27 class. He's young.
Yeah, one of the best running
backs. Well, how did he impress you as a running back?
Just him, just how explosive he is. First of all, I didn't know how big he was. Just I had never seen him in person like that before. And then when he got out there, I was just like, okay. And then, him breaking tackles and then we had him on like a 3rd and 23, catches a screen pass behind the line and, ran like 4 people over and got a first down. So just his playmaking abilities, and he's just really good running back. So
obviously, you're going for another state title here at Saraland this year. You graduate in December,
yes,
right?
Sir.
You'll be in Austin in January. What's kind of your goals, timelines? Because quarterbacks are different, right? I mean, Arch is waiting 2 years before he starts at Texas. What's your timeline, goals, kind of your process? How do you see that right now?
Right. Just going along. When I get to Texas, I'm just be there waiting on my turn to play. Arch, he's been there, but going on his 2nd year this year. So, after this year, Quinn's going to the league, and, he's going to take over after that. So, just however it goes, whenever I get my time to shine, I'm going to go out there and do it.
So, here's my question. So, obviously, a lot of Texas fans watch these interviews.
Right.
You've gone to games in the SEC your whole life.
Yes, sir.
What do Texas fans have to look forward to, man? Like, from your perspective, growing up in the SEC, going to games.
Right. No matter who you play in the SEC, it's always going to be a big crowd, first of all, and then the atmosphere is just insane when you get, especially, I know the Georgia game is going to be crazy, but the Texas A&M game I think is going to be it's going to be one of the craziest games of the year. And those Texas A&M fans, they're different, just I've seen them come down to Alabama and play, just a lot of teams, Mississippi State, that game was always big at the Alabama. It's just going to be some really big games, entertaining, and it's going to be crazy atmospheres.
So the Texas fans know you as KJ Lacey, the football player. They watch your huddle. They watch these videos. What does KJ do in his spare time when it's not football, man? What do you like to do?
Right. Play the game a little bit. Got to get my schoolwork done, so I do that. And then most of the time I just try to find a couple of friends to hang out with. You might go fishing, go to the pool or something. I like going to the beach.
I know your dad's always fishing, right?
Yeah.
He takes you rod and reel with him, right?
Yes, sir. He always has it with him. He went fishing, I think, yesterday morning. He came back, left at like 5 a.m., came back at like 4 p.m. or something. But
talk about his influence on you. He was a really good basketball player.
Right.
So kind of talk about you growing up as dad was a really good athlete.
Yeah, I mean, that's another hobby I have. I love playing basketball. It's, it's always going to be my first sport, my first love. Yeah, my dad, just growing up, I don't even know when I started playing basketball, probably when I was like 1 or something. He had me dribbling basketball since then, had a little mini basketball hoop in the house. But, since I was like 3, 4 years old, going to the YMCA, just, learning how to dribble with two balls at the same time, just working on my left hand. And he kind of built me to be a basketball player all the way through. And, got to 8th grade, played really good my 8th grade year. And then 9th grade year, we just, had a conversation like, all right, football season's coming around. You might be the starting quarterback, so what you want to do? And I was just like, if I have to stop playing basketball, I just got to do what I got to do. But,
How does point guard translate to quarterback? Because I think there's a really good translation there from sport to sport. For you, how does that translate?
I feel like just being one step ahead all the time. You always got to know where you got to put the ball at. Which way your teammates turning. You always got to have that chemistry. Like the main parts of chemistry with the receivers and chemistry with players. Like me and CD been playing together for basketball, football, everything since we were like 6 years old. So just knowing our movements out there on the court, field, anything. So the chemistry is probably one of the main things. And then, like I said, staying one step ahead. So, yes, sir.
All right, that's KJ Lacey, Saraland quarterback, 4-star, Texas commitment. Thanks for joining us today on Texas Football, KJ.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.